All right, today's guest is a special one. She has coached hundreds of clients through body transformations, has a booming business, and has built a strong social media presence by being herself. Lean in today if you want to hear some tips on how to maximize your health, build an unshakable confidence by being yourself, and get insights on how to be the best you. Welcome to the show, Madie Bunker.
Wow, thank you. Such a good intro.
Yeah, no, I've been admiring you from a distance. I see you're in Texas and you're crushing it with your health and your fitness coaching and inspiration just all the way around. But the first thing that I wanted to start off talking about, because we're going to dive into health and fitness, we're going to dive into confidence and even just building a brand in your business because you've had like amazing growth starting off. But the first thing that really catches my eye when I look at your page and I look at your content is you're so authentic. You're really real about what you post on social media, and you don't hold the punches. And I think that's really interesting because a lot of people don't want to post some of the stuff that they're thinking on social media, but you have been the complete opposite. And the one thing that's really stuck out is the self-acceptance movement. You're really against that. So if you could kind of talk about that and that your approach that you take on social media.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. It's not always been easy. I get a lot of hate, but just kind of leaning into that because that's what works. So specifically talking about like body positivity, body acceptance, I'm all for loving your body with where you're at, but I think a lot of people use that as a mask to be lazy and to not make changes. And I think the number one thing is confidence. If you are confident in your body, you could go out and do anything. Because I've been at a point where I wasn't confident in my body, and now that I am confident in my body, I feel so much better in my business. I feel better in my relationships, my family, all of the things. And it just feels so good to feel good in your body. And I think everyone should take care of their body, not just because of the looks, but because you need to take care of your body for the long-term health and to be healthy. And so the whole body positivity movement, I think, is so unhealthy because it's literally promoting people to be unhealthy and overweight. Being overweight is not healthy. Like, it is literally bad for you. You are way more likely to have disease, to risk like everything. And so it is so important to just take care of your body. And I think it's important to talk about that. And I have actually had, a lot of haters, but I've had a lot of really, really amazing people jump on sales calls with me, and they want to work with me because they're like, you know what? I don't even need to lose a lot of weight, but like everyone tells me, oh, you don't need to lose weight, you don't need to lose weight, but I want to because I want to feel more confident, and like you validated that. And I think that is what is important because a lot of the clients that I work with only need to lose 10 to 15 pounds, but that 10 to 15 pounds is going to make them be more confident. It's going to make them go for that job that they wouldn't go for. It's going to make them have more energy. It's going to make them better in their relationships. And I think that is so important.
Yeah, I love that message. That's huge because a lot of times, yeah, people they're not even eating healthy. But I lost 15 pounds on accident, and it was just because I started eating healthy, and I was like, wow, like, and I felt so much different, had so much more energy.
Yeah.
But the fact that you're polarizing, I feel like it does bring a lot of people in because you don't hear that online a lot. A lot of people don't want to step out of their comfort zone to say something that they actually mean.
I mean, I can touch on that a little bit more because I get a lot of coaches saying like, "Oh, I wish that I could talk about what you talk about because I agree with it, but I'm so afraid of the hate." Lean into the hate. That is the best thing I ever did. Just talking about from like a personal brand standpoint. Like that is really when I grew my following is when I started leaning into the haters because it's going to give you more traction. And yeah, you're going to have a lot of haters, but you're going to have that many more people like want to work with you. And truly that's what I found. And like now our clients are so aligned because they agree with everything that I say and they understand with what I have to say and they love it. And so like truly like I've, just created this brand. And so I'll get on calls with people and they're like, oh my gosh, like you're real. Like they just look up to me as an authority figure. And that's not, I'm not saying I'm like better than everyone or whatever, but it just goes to show that like you're going to find your people and people are afraid of like, saying things to hurt people's feelings and pushing people away, but you don't want to work with those people anyways. And it is scary. And like sometimes it does suck reading the hate comments, but like there's that many more people that are hyping you up and that is so worth it.
Yeah, I guess that's the thing about being yourself too. When you're being yourself, you're going to attract the people that are like you. So you actually get to
Totally.
work with the type of people that you want to work with too by being yourself on social media.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because otherwise, you're pretending to be somebody that you're not, and then you're attracting those type of people that you're pretending to be. So I love
Yeah.
that. And then the one thing I noticed, the confidence. Have you always had that? So I noticed that you're saying like, I don't care that I wear skinny jeans and you're judging me. I don't care that I don't drink alcohol and you're judging me. Have you always had that confidence, or is it something that you kind of worked on over the years?
Yeah, I think I've always been a pretty confident person, but I definitely was not as confident as I am now. And even when I first started posting, I felt so insecure about it. Oh, I'm posting fitness content. What are people gonna say? Like, I'm so nervous. Like, I don't want anyone to see this. Like, I would try and hide my social media. Anytime, I met someone out in real life, like they'd be like, "Oh, what's your Instagram?" And I would be embarrassed to give my Instagram out because like I just like didn't like posting it, and it was like really really hard. But then I learned that this is who I am, and when I started being myself on social media is when I became more confident, because I wasn't, like you said, to your point, I wasn't like faking it. I was actually genuinely being myself, and then I was proud of the content that I was making because I was just being myself. And so it definitely did take some time to become as confident as I am now. It took me changing my body, truly. And I know a lot of people say, "Oh, like you shouldn't lose weight," but like I did, and I felt more confident, and now I am the person that I am today because I lost weight. And I truly do think that you can be happier, and you have to be happy with yourself, and love yourself in the process, and you can't hate yourself into your dream body. I always say that to my clients. But losing weight and like being confident in your body is going to make you confident in every other area of your life, and then also just truly being yourself. And so I am like very outspoken. I will tell you how it is because I'm so confident in the person that I am. And I think confidence goes such a long way, because people could not agree with what I'm saying, but they like to hang around me or whatever because I am confident. And so it doesn't matter what I do. It's just because I am confident that like people are attracted to that. And so maybe they hate your outfit, but you're confident in it, and so they don't care. But if you're like insecure or whatever, like that, people are going to judge you for it. And so I think you truly can get away with anything if you're just confident in yourself.
Yeah, it's kind of like the thing that they say. The most confident person in the room is always going to be the one that gets the respect and everybody follows. And it doesn't even have to be right, but as long as that person believes in what they say, and that's kind of what you're doing. Like, you truly believe in your mission and what you're doing. And that's why you're getting such a following behind you, because people are like, okay, this is different than everybody else. And she actually seems authentic on here. And I think authenticity is one of the toughest things on social media, because we can go into a rabbit hole on this, but like social media, half the girls on there don't look like what they look like in real life, right? And you're actually posting videos and stuff that actually looks like you, which is another appealing thing as well. And then there's guys on there that are posting stuff in front of houses that they don't own, and in front of cars. And then you're on social media, you're like, damn, my life sucks in comparison to everybody else. But when you're just able to be you on social media, I think that's what really resonates with your following.
Yeah, and I feel like it'd be so hard to post content that's not actually you. I feel like that'd be so exhausting. Like, it's hard enough just posting my real life. I don't know, creating this whole new persona of who I am would be so incredibly hard. And it's easy to post content because I just post what I normally post. And I do try and be super authentic and real. Like, I posted a full day of eating yesterday that was like, not the best foods always because I was super busy and my meals were off and whatever. And like, I know a lot of people only post their like perfect meals and like their perfect whatever. And it's just, that's not reality. And so I want to show that because like, yeah, I am disciplined and I go to the gym consistently, but I'm not perfect. There are days where I fall off. And so I want people to realize that like, even though I am a coach and I post on social media, I'm not perfect either. And I think people just really resonate with that more because at the end of the day, I'm just another real human too.
Yeah, I love that. It's the best way to connect. And I do the same thing when it comes, like, I have bad days mentally, and I'll talk about it on social media, because I'm not just going to talk about all the wins, because that's a robot. Nobody's like that, right? We all have tough days, and share the good stuff, but then you also got to show the bad sides too, because people need to see that, or they're just going to be like, I'm never going to be able to live up to this standard of this person, and they're just too perfect, So I love your
Yeah.
approach with that.
Yeah, and it took me a while to do that because I thought like, oh, I'm a coach, like I have to show that I'm perfect. I can't mess up. But whenever I started posting like days that I didn't feel confident in the gym or days that I missed the gym or days that I didn't want to go to the gym, like I told my client the other day, I've hated the gym the last 2 months. I haven't wanted to go, but I still show up. And she just said it was like nice to hear that someone who does this for a living also hates the gym sometimes. And it's just something that we do. And so I think it's just really, really important because that's how you build the connections, because no one's perfect and they don't expect you to be.
Yeah, 100%. So let's talk about the fitness a little bit. So I see you started with a phase after basketball, right? You were like a little heavier than you wanted to, but then from my point of view, it looks like you went into a heavy cut, probably restricted your calories, probably overtrained and got really skinny. And now you're into a place where you look amazing, like you're working out, lifting weights, doing all the things. So can you kind of talk about that journey?
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, I was an athlete my whole life, and that's really who I work with as ex-athletes because it's a really hard transition when you're super active your whole life. You know, you don't have to worry about what you eat. You're just like super active, and then one day it just stops. And so I gained a little bit of weight, and I hated the way that I looked, and I didn't know what to do. So I tried everything, and I wasn't losing weight. Like I was lifting weights, and I was like, oh, I'm just getting bulky, but I wasn't getting bulky. I was just fat. And so I was just like, you know what? I have to starve myself. I saw like calorie counting and whatever, and so I started counting my calories, but in a very restrictive way. I was doing hours and hours of cardio. This was during COVID, so I was literally sprinting for like an hour and a half every single day, like insane. And I was like looking at my watch, trying to burn as many calories as I could. And then like if I overate one day, I would like work out at night again. And it was just super unhealthy. And I lost a lot of weight very, very quickly. And I remember I moved home because it was COVID. And I remember my mom saying like, you're losing a lot of weight. And I did not see it. I was like, no, I'm not. Like I didn't have a scale, so I didn't know. And so I was like, I'm not losing any weight. Like, no, I'm not. And then looking back at pictures, like I was so tiny, I was unhealthy. And I just had a terrible relationship with food. Like I was constantly thinking about food. I was restricting myself. I was scared to go out with my friends. Like when I moved back out to college that one year, like my friends would go out and do things and I wouldn't because I didn't want to ruin my progress, and I couldn't miss a workout, and it was just super, super unhealthy. And so I was just like fed up with it. I lost my period. I literally was like sleeping 2 to 3 hours a night. Like it was just very unhealthy. I had terrible gut health. And so I was like, you know what, I need to fix something. So I hired a nutrition coach, and he put me through my first reverse diet, which was really scary because I had to eat more food and I didn't want to gain weight, and it was terrifying. But then I got my hormones in a healthy place, and then I switched over to my coach that I have now, and we spent almost an entire year in a building phase, which was very hard for me mentally because I was putting on weight. I put about 20 pounds on, but it was a lot of muscle with that some fat, and I was so healthy. I had so much energy. I was stronger than I ever had been. I was just genuinely healthy. And then this last summer I went into a fat loss phase, which was my first like actual cut that was like healthy. And I was able to lose like 10 to 15 pounds. And now I'm just like maintaining around there where I just feel super confident to where like I'm eating a lot of food. I have a lot of food freedom. I'm healthy, but I also like feel really confident in my body and I feel strong. And so like you can have both. I thought that like I either had to be miserable or I had to, you know, look the way that I wanted to, right? Like I couldn't have both. But you can look the way that you want to and be healthy. It may take a little bit longer than you want to, especially if you've been restricting yourself and having to go through that reverse dieting phase. But like you genuinely can have a life that you love while loving your body.
Yeah, I think that's the challenging part for most people. It's a reverse dieting phase.
Yeah.
And actually, I thought you looked great when you did a reverse diet. That extra weight, like it doesn't look bad. I thought I looked really good. And then you were able to cut down and get to like now where you're like jacked. but that was yeah, that's exactly how it goes. Sometimes. So do you have a lot of clients that come in under eating and they're overweight? Because I find that a lot.
Yeah, I would say like 90% of our clients are either under eating or just eating very inconsistently, and so their metabolism just isn't working the way that it should. And so we have to put them through a reverse diet. And I had a call with one of my coach's clients yesterday because she was frustrated because she came into the program and we're like, hey, you're going to eat more food. We're not going into a fat loss phase. And that's super frustrating. Like you want to lose the weight, but if you're already eating super little, like 1,300 calories, we can't drop you lower than that.
Yeah.
And you have to drop it in order to lose weight. And so you have to heal your metabolism by doing a reverse diet, which is, like you said, the scariest and hardest part because mentally, like you're eating more food. And a lot of our clients will see body recomp, but you're really not going to see the scale go down typically.
Yeah.
And that's like really scary. But if you take a few months to be able to reverse diet and get your body in a healthy spot, then when you go into a fat loss phase, you're going to be able to lose weight so much easier, but you have to heal your insides first.
Yeah, 100%. And same thing. Like every fitness client that I've worked with, about 90% of them come in under eating, and it's just the quality of the food that they're eating isn't right. Their sleep schedule's messed up, everything, the energy. But once you get that all figured out and you are able to increase the calories, and like you said, you start to balance your hormones out, start to balance everything out, you go into the cut phase and it's a lot easier because you're going back on healthier foods that fill you up more, and then your metabolism gets fixed. So if somebody was trying to fix their metabolism, what would you tell them to do? If they feel like their metabolism's out of whack, everything they do isn't working, where should they start?
The first thing I would say is start tracking your food. And a lot of people have a lot of resistance towards this, but I promise, like, you cannot manage what you don't measure. And so track your food. It's not going to be forever. Like, we do not expect our clients to track food forever, but it is really important to learn and understand your body. And so take a week to track your food perfectly, like weigh everything out, see where you're at. If your calories are in a lower spot, then you need to reverse diet. And so I would say, get a consistent strength training schedule. That is the biggest thing. Like, training really does matter. Yes, abs are made in the kitchen, but your training matters just as much. And so stop doing so much cardio, stop doing HIIT workouts, focus on strength training, and then slowly increasing your calories. The first thing I would say is focus on protein intake. Majority of women are under eating protein, and it so bad. And so if you eat enough protein in a day and start strength training, you probably will see those changes in your body that you want to pretty quickly.
Yeah, the strength training is the biggest one, I think, especially when it comes to women. Even guys, too. Everyone thinks that they're going to run themselves to the body that they want. They're going to cut down the calories, they're going to run themselves to that, and it's not sustainable for one, because who wants to run 3 miles a day and not eat? And then the other thing is you can just lift, build muscle, and when you're building that muscle, it actually burns fat all day, that afterburn effect. So you're actually working when you're not working. So that's one of the best things you can do.
Yeah. Just please strength train. I promise you are not going to be bulky. Like, the people who are bulky literally eat and train for their job all day, every day, and majority of them are on steroids. Like, you're not going to be bulky. You're not training hard enough to be bulky. I promise you that.
Yeah, for a girl to get that size, it's tough, because even these
Trust me,
guys.
I'm trying.
Well, these males want to have that look, right? And it's hard for most guys to get there too. It's just building muscle isn't easy, but the process of building muscle is the best thing you can do. It's like building that skeletal muscle, your longevity, like we were saying, burning, everything is gonna fall after that weightlifting program. So that's a staple, I feel like, to anybody that runs a good program is weightlifting for sure.
Absolutely. And just the things that it does for you mentally, working out, like, obviously the endorphins and everything, but, taking care of your body and telling yourself you're going to go to the gym and actually doing it is, like, the best thing that you can do. Like, that is truly where self-confidence comes from. And, like, if I find myself, like, slipping, into, like, telling myself maybe I'm going to go outside and go for a walk or whatever and not doing it, and just like telling myself I'm going to do these things, is when I like get really self-conscious about my body, and I'm like, ew, like, I don't like it. My body's not changing. I'm just not keeping those promises to myself.
Right.
But when you're telling yourself, I'm going to go to the gym, I'm going to get 10,000 steps, and you do it, you are going to be the most confident person, because you told yourself you're going to do something and you did it, and there's nothing more empowering than that.
Yeah, that goes back to what you were saying with measuring, just like having a checklist of the things that you're going to do. And you check those things off, you feel good at the end of the day. Even though you don't see the progress in the mirror maybe, but you're like, hey, I showed up and I did everything I was going to do today. That really does build confidence. And then that's where you get self-respect too. A lot of people suffer from self-respect, I believe, because they don't do what they say they're going to do, or they're not doing what they're telling everybody else they're doing. So those people that are posting on social media that aren't doing what they say, that's where you lose a lot of self-respect, because you know at the end of the night when you go to sleep if you did those things. So I like that point of do what you said you're going to do. You're going to feel a lot better.
Yeah, I mean, the people on social media who are fake, like, they're not happy with themselves, obviously, or else they would be real. And I think also, to your point about, like, making a list, I think a lot of people are just like, I'm going to accidentally, like, lose weight. Like, I just want to do it, but I don't want to track. I don't want to plan. I don't want to, like, have a set workout routine. I'm not going to plan when I'm going to do my workouts, but I want to lose weight, and I'm so frustrated because I'm not. Well, it's like, well, what are you tracking? Like, are you tracking your food? Do you have a consistent workout routine? You're just, like, hoping that you'll hit your protein goal. You have to have a plan. Like, you're not going to go on a vacation just on a whim and have absolutely no plan, no flights booked, no hotels booked, anything. That doesn't make any sense. Same thing with your fitness journey. You're not going to accidentally, like, end up in Bali if you want to go there, right? You have to, like, book your flight. You have to do the things. Same thing with your fitness journey. You have to, okay, you want to lose 10 pounds. How are you going to get there?
Yeah, it's having a plan. You got to have a plan for everything you do. Like, having the idea is one thing, making the decision, but then you got to have the follow through. And I think the people that try to be disciplined over a long period of time, it doesn't last. Like, you have to change your mindset. And you work with your clients with that, because I know that's one of the biggest things. What I see is like, all right, yeah, we'll work together for 3-6 months. You're going to start hitting your goals. But when I leave, if you haven't changed your mindset or your identity, you're going to go back to what you think you're worth. And I think I've had this with like relationships in my past, because I didn't have enough respect for myself and stuff. And then you kind of think maybe I'm not good enough, and you self-sabotage. And the same thing with health and fitness, I believe. If you don't believe you're worthy of getting in shape, or people have told you stuff, or you have these limiting beliefs, you end up going back to what you think you're worth. So you put the 20 pounds back on. So have you had challenges with that when it comes to clients?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you have to create a whole new identity for yourself. You're becoming a whole new person. And so first you have to be patient with yourself, because you're completely changing your lifestyle, but you also have to let that old person go. You didn't like that person, so stop holding on to that person. Like, you are going to become a new person. And I mean, yeah, we give clients workouts and nutrition, of course, but like, that's just the tiny portion of it. Really, like, the accountability and the mindset is the biggest thing, because if you don't change that, like, we can get you to your goal weight, but then like you said, once you stop working with us, you're going to gain it back. And so that's why we want to work on it, because we want our clients to be able to leave the program and be a new person, have those new habits, and maintain their results forever. And so it's so important that we work on that mindset. Like, how's your relationship with food? How's your relationship with your body? How's your relationship with yourself? You know, how's your mindset? What are you doing for yourself? Are you working out because you feel like you need to burn off those extra calories and for an unhealthy way? Or are you working out because you know that it is beneficial for you and for your lifestyle, and that it is healthy for you? And so it's so important to look internally, and it's hard. Like, especially for me, like, I'm really, really hard on myself, and I know a lot of our clients are, because we work with athletes. It's easy to go to the gym for me. It's easy to hit my macros, but like, the internal work is really, really hard. And that's why I think it's important to have a coach, because you can't really work on that stuff on your own, or at least it's really, really hard. And so having that outside support, whether it's a coach, a therapist, a friend, but talking through those things, like, you have to work on your mindset and your internal health first, or else like, you're never going to see those changes that last long term.
Yeah, no, 100%. And that's honestly kind of why I kind of been shifting out of fitness coaching a little bit, because I realize that I see the clients that have the mindset shift right in the middle of the program, and I can tell the ones that don't. And I'm like, well, we can do all this work, but you're going to go back to being you unless you shift your mindset, your belief system. So I think you got to start there, and then kind of, and obviously it all works together. And I think fitness and nutrition is the foundation, because once you start changing your energy and the way you feel, and you start feeling different, and that chemistry in your body feels like that, you're like, well, shit, I don't want to go back to how I used to be. So I think that's a big one. And then going back to our beginning point when we were talking about self-acceptance, you kind of said you still got to love yourself, right? I think that's something we can't gloss over. I think Matthew Hussey said it. He goes, you got to love yourself, but you don't have to like yourself. Like, there's a difference, right? I don't have to wake up today and look in the mirror and like who I am, because maybe I'm making bad decisions. Maybe I'm not being honest. Maybe I'm not respecting my body. And I don't got to like myself today. But I do got to love myself, because you're the only one there. And if you don't love yourself, you're never going to be able to make any progress. So I think that is something that definitely has to be addressed. Is like, you do got to love yourself, but hey, it's okay not to like yourself in this season of your life, because that's going to give you the push to go forward.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite quotes, and I always say you have to love yourself enough to change. You have to love yourself enough to know that you're not healthy. Like, going back to the body positivity, I made a video about this saying, like, you have to love yourself to know that being overweight is not healthy. Not going to the gym is not healthy. You know, and it's so much more than a certain weight. Like, if you are underweight, or if you're a healthy weight but you're not taking care of your body, if you're just like naturally skinny but you're not working out, you're eating like shit, that's not good either. And so I'm not just harping on like obese people, like, yeah, that's not healthy, but just not taking care of yourself isn't healthy either. And so you have to love yourself enough to know that like working out is important. It's not like, as a society, we've become where it's just like, yeah, like, oh, that's cool. You go to the gym, like, that's one of your hobbies. Like, yeah, it is one of my hobbies, but if it's not, it doesn't matter. If you don't want to go to the gym, you still need to. Like, you still need to take care of your body. You still need to eat healthy. It shouldn't be like this choice or like this hobby. Like, it's literally something that you need to do to take care of your body. We are so sedentary as a society. We're so unhealthy. So I don't care if you have certain physique goals. You need to just take care of your body because you need to be able to live longer and have energy. And there's so many people who can't like keep up with their kids, or they, they're not going to live a long life because they're not taking care of themselves. And it starts with you. Like at the end of the day, yes, it's hard, but like it is. I can't even imagine being overweight to where you can't even move, where you're just like sitting on the couch all day. Like that sounds like a miserable life, and you cannot tell me those people are happy. And I know David Goggins was on a podcast that I was listening to years ago, and this always stood out to me because there are a lot of overweight people who say, well, I'm happy with where I'm at, but I guarantee you, if I told you I could snap my fingers and you would be skinny, you would do it. You just don't want to put in the work. And so stop saying that you're happy with where you're at if you are truly not, because I guarantee you that you're not, you're just being lazy. So stop using that as an excuse to be lazy.
Oh yeah, that's lying to yourself, and that's the first step of making a change. You got to tell yourself the damn truth, and if you don't tell yourself the truth, you're never going to change. And that's one of the biggest things. And I think the problem is you can be an influencer, right? You can be given all the best advice. You can tell everybody what to do, but until they want it, until they hit rock bottom, it's not going to sink in. Like I've heard advice, but until I get in that situation where I look in the mirror and I'm just like, now I'm tired of my shit. Like it's time to make that change. I think that's when it happens, and that's when the transformation happens. But sometimes people never hit that in their whole life. But like you were saying, like society is very sedentary right now. And if you're not playing a sport, you're not even getting out the house, you're going to be miserable because feeling like that, not moving your body, it's painful.
Yeah.
So there's two types of pains, going through the workout or living like that.
Yeah. Choose your hard. And I think also like going to the gym also isn't enough. Like people go to the gym for 45 minutes and then they sit all day. You also need to move outside of that. Like you need to get out in the sunshine. You need to move your body. You need to get at least like 8,000 to 10,000 steps. And that's not just like this magical number, but like you need to move your body more. Sitting all day is not healthy. Like it's not healthy for your body. It's not healthy for your mind. Like moving your body is so much more than like weight. And like that's what I'm so passionate about it because I've seen people go from like being super sedentary to moving their body more and more and more. And like starting with, if you're getting 2,000 steps a day, get 4,000, get consistent with that, and then get 6,000. Watch how much your energy levels change. Watch how much like you're going to want to eat healthier. Like everything plays a role into that when you just start small. And so like, I guarantee you, if you're like an unhealthy person and you start getting 4,000 more steps a day, that is going to literally change your life. Walking is 100%. So underrated.
They say it adds like 10 years to your life if you just do 30 minutes a day of walking. It's crazy.
Yeah. I heard a quote yesterday that said, if you have a problem, go on a walk, and if it wasn't solved after that, go on another walk. And I know there are a lot of things that like can't be solved by just going on a walk, but it's going to clear your mind. It's going to help you focus on that problem more. And honestly, like if you're sad or you're feeling tired, like anytime I'm like, ugh, I'm tired, I just want to lay on the couch, get outside and go on a walk, and like you will literally feel so much better.
You're going into my favorite routine, which is a walk without a phone. Like I preach this nonstop. I love it. It's the first thing I do in the morning, 45-minute walk without the phone. It just sets your day up. And like you said, you're with your thoughts, you're in nature. The sun's not up when I'm doing it, but I wanted to talk about that too, sunshine. So I saw a post of yours where people were giving you crap about your sunburn and saying that's not healthy, and you kind of snap back. So I want to hear about the sunlight.
Everyone always comments on because I'm just a very tan person. Like, I don't know, I have good genetics, I have Italian skin. And everyone always like comments like, put on sunscreen, like that's so unhealthy, like get out of the sun. And I'm like, bro, what do you think they did 100 years ago before they had sunscreen? Like, I never wear sunscreen, and you know what? In 50 years, maybe I will have skin cancer, but right now, I feel good, and you need to get out in the sun. And if you're in the sun all day and you're prone to burning, like, yes, put on sunscreen. But getting outside, like, everyone's always, like, wearing sunglasses and, like, covering their face or whatever. It's like, if you're just walking outside for 10 minutes, like, Andrew Huberman talks about, like, literally looking directly into the sunlight and how that's going to be beneficial for you. Like, getting outside is so important. Like, I cannot harp it enough. It literally will boost your mood. It will make you feel better. And it's good for your skin. It's good for your mind. It's good for your body. It's good for your hair. Like, it's good for everything. And so I promise you, like, get outside. And, like, obviously this is a very much, like, let me put my tinfoil hat on, but I think sunscreen is bad for you. And there are a lot of, toxins in our sunscreen, and there are healthier brands and whatever. And, like, I'm not very educated on it, but I think you need to get outside and don't be so worried about putting on sunscreen 24/7. And I know I get a lot of haters for that, but that's my personal opinion.
Oh, I love it, the authenticity. No, 100%, because I can relate. As soon as I go to the beach, as soon as I step outside, yesterday I did my video editing outside. I was like, this just feels better, just being in the sun, being out in nature. It's yeah, like you said, if our ancestors did it, that's what you want to do. Like the same thing with lifting weights, the same thing with walking, the same thing with all this stuff. And the fact that you brought up sunscreen and the chemicals and stuff, I was literally taking a shower last night and I was like, I'm going to bars of soap. Why am I using this stuff? There's so many. I actually was reading it in the shower.
Yeah,
I was like, "Look at all these
there
I don't
is.
even know what any of this stuff is, and I'm rubbing it on my body every night. So
Yeah, there's so many hormone blockers and everything, and like all of the skincare and sunscreen and all of that stuff. And so you can obviously get clean brands, but like we really need to be more mindful of that because it truly is like infertility is like at an all-time high. Like there's just so many things like hormone blockers and all of that stuff in our foods and in our like skincare and in candles and all of that stuff. And I know it like sounds crazy, but it's true.
are you doing grass fed, grass finished, all that kind of stuff, or
Oh yeah,
you are?
always.
Yeah, yeah. And actually, now that Sam's Club and Costco is starting to get it, it's making it really easy. And I'm not gonna say it's affordable because nothing's really affordable in this economy with inflation.
Yeah, yeah.
But
I
it
ordered
definitely makes
from
a
Butcher
difference.
Box. That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely makes a difference too. The quality of the taste, you could just tell like the smell of it when you're cooking it. I mean, it's definitely, there's a difference when you go from grass fed and just regular. Even organic isn't the same as grass fed, grass finished. You can definitely
Yeah,
tell the
and
difference.
it also has to be grass finished because grass fed could mean that like one cow out of the entire like cows that it was made from was grass fed, but grass finished means all of the cows where it's actually like fully grass fed and grass finished.
Yeah, there's so many loopholes with nutrition, and that's the saddest part. And that's the biggest challenge is it's just informing clients on how to pick out foods, how to like read the ingredients, and know that man, some of these foods are just loaded with toxins, and these seed oils are like, I mean, don't get me started on those, but there's just so many things you have to look out for. But rule of thumb is you eat healthy, you eat natural. If it comes from the earth, you're normally going to be pretty good. That's the way I
Yeah,
like to
and
look
I
at
mean,
it.
I'm all about like balance and moderation, and I love my ice cream and I love some processed foods, but like it's just gotten out of hand, and people just eat terribly and don't even think twice about going to fast food, and like genuinely that food is just so bad for you, and I'm all for, again, moderation, but like please start eating real foods.
Yeah, and when you do go through like I know whoever's listening, like when you go through the transformation, you'll find out one day because you'll go back to like a Burger King like a year later and you'll eat it and you'll be like, wow, I wish I didn't do that. I feel like crap because you can't even go back. You just don't even look at it the same and you don't feel the same. So
Yeah.
it is a
Oh
big
yeah.
change, but it takes that like we were talking about the identity shift, the mindset shift, and then after that, it becomes part of your daily life and you don't have to really think about it much.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like if you put in the work now, like it will truly become just a non-negotiable for you. Like it's just something that you do. You know, going to the gym might be hard at first, but now like for me, it's just something that I do. It's a part of the person that I am. I just go to the gym. It's not like, oh, I hope I can make it to the gym, or it's just like I'm in the gym in the mornings. Like that's just what I do. Eating healthy is just what I do. That's who I am. And so fake it till you make it. Like tell yourself you're that person. Tell yourself you're a morning person. Tell yourself you're the type of person that goes to the gym every day, and you will become that person, and it gets so much easier and becomes a part of your lifestyle, but you have to actually like put forth the effort in order to do that.
Yeah, like Wayne Dyer says, start from the end. So pretend
Yeah.
like it's already happened. See yourself there, and then work yourself back, and you come up with a plan and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, I love that. All right, Maddie. So I got a couple quotes of you that I want to read
Oh
to you,
gosh.
and I want to talk about these. So here's the first one. I know that God has a plan for me, and I'm perfect, but I also know that I need to show up and do the work to bring it to life. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, I love that quote because God does have a plan, and like I really truly do believe that, and it brings me so much peace. But I can't just like sit back and do nothing and be like, all right, God, bring me everything that I want to, bring me a successful business, bring like you have to actually put forth the effort, and He will bring that to you. But you have to do the things. You have to put in the work. You have to work hard and trust Him and put your trust in Him, but like you also have to do the work. And I think just as like I see a lot of Christians who are like they trust that, but then they're like, He's just gonna bring it to me. I'm just gonna sit back and like hope that this falls into my lap. Like that's not how it works. You actually have to put forth the effort.
Yeah, 100%. So I'm new into like getting closer to God, going to church, all that stuff. So I come from the other side, like doing the work. And then, but having God too, just having faith that it is going to work out for you. I think that's something that's huge. Just being able to trust that it is going to work out if you do the steps. And then you can focus on the process rather than the results. Because when you get caught up on the results every day and you're checking the scale and looking at it every day and you're like, I'm looking in the mirror and I don't see the change, you start to burn yourself out and you start to go crazy. You start to get fearful, and then you start attracting back to your old life because you're scared. And working out of scarcity, you're never going to get what you want. So having that faith and belief, I mean, I think that's awesome. So I love that quote from you.
Yeah, one of my favorite, another favorite quote of mine is, worrying is practicing atheism. And I think it's just like, that's like so eye-opening, because like you need to put forth the effort, but then you can't just like stress all the time. Like, you have to put your faith in God that he's going to make it happen, because he will. And like, whatever is supposed to happen will happen, as long as you are like actually putting in the work and trusting him and like growing your faith and things like that.
Yeah, I love that. All right, I got another quote for you. I love this one. Crazy how I'm the odd one for eating healthy and saying no to alcohol.
It's just wild, because you'll go out and people offer you a drink. You don't have to make it a big deal. They just, no thank you. And like, people think it is the crazy, what, do you not drink? Like, what you're not eating these foods? And they judge you for it. But really it's just an internal judgment. Like, what's the quote? Misery loves company. Like, yeah. Truly. So like, if people are eating unhealthy, if people are having the ice cream, like, they don't want to be the only ones. They want other people to do that. And I'll go out and I do not care what other people do. You want to get drunk? You want to do, awesome. Like, I love that for you, but I just personally don't. And I can still hang around it, but I can also say no. But it's just wild to me how like I truly am the odd one out. Like, I live in Austin, Texas. There is a lot of fitness people here, but there are a lot of people who just party every single weekend, and it's right. Like rare for you to just not do that. And I think that's so twisted, that like it's more rare for you to not drink and to eat healthy than it is to drink every single weekend.
Yeah, I think that's, yeah, like you said, an insecurity thing, but I think that's why your circle of friends and all that makes a big difference too, because they're not going to want to hang out with you if you're not drinking, like you said, because it makes them feel insecure. And then the same thing is, like, you want to be around people that are doing what you like to do as well, where you're going to fit in. And at the end of the day, everybody wants to fit in. But that goes back to you, where you're like, I don't care what you think. So that's good that you get to go out and you're not worried about what everyone else is thinking. I know that's been a challenge for me. Like, when I used to drink a lot, now that I don't really drink much, it's just like, I kind of want to have one to fit in, but at the same time, I don't really want to drink, you know? So that's awesome. So what do you do for your social life then if you don't really go out? I saw the post the other day. It was like, can we normalize going out at 5 and going to bed at 9?
Yeah. You know what? I like to have a good time. I like to go out with my friends. But for me, a good time is like going to bed early and waking up and going to the gym on a Saturday. Like, that makes me so happy. And I am a lame 23-year-old, like, whatever. But that's what makes me happy. And I used to think like, oh, well, I need to be going out because whatever. But it's like, why? If I don't want to, like, if I want to work late on a Friday, I should be able to. And I think a lot of people just like put unspoken rules around things. Like, you're not supposed to work weekends, you're not supposed to whatever, like, you're supposed to go out every single Friday, Saturday, Sunday, drink, whatever. But it's like, why? Like, do what you want to do, and if you want to do that, that's awesome. But I think a lot of people like maybe don't want to drink, but they feel the peer pressure to, or whatever. And so I do like to have a good time, but a lot of the time my good time is like going to a coffee shop and working with one of my friends, or, you know, doing something active, going on a walk or whatever. And so doing things, like, you can still be social, but like you can also do healthy things. You can go and like be active, and in Austin there's so many fun things. Like, there's run clubs and active things that you can do. And of course I enjoy a night out every once in a while, but I really just like to stay in my routine, in my schedule, and I have a lot of friends that also like to do that, so it makes it a lot easier.
Yeah, I love that. So you're putting yourself, like I said, around the right people. But luckily you live in Austin and I live in St. Pete, so there are run clubs, there's like volleyball, there's stuff that you can do all the time. But that's why I think deciding where you live is one of the most important things that you're going to do in your life. Because if you are in a certain state and there's not really much besides drinking socially, you are set up for failure. And I guess, could you speak to like somebody that's thinking about, all right, I've been drinking for years and I want to cut back on that, but the hardest part is giving up my social life and not having friends and all that kind of stuff, because that is probably the toughest challenge when you are cutting back on or changing your lifestyle. It's like, all right, well, this whole set of group of friends I can't really associate with anymore. I don't really fit in with them anymore because now I'm heading in a different direction. Can you kind of talk about that?
Yeah, so Chris Williamson always talks about like the lonely chapter. And it's
Hmm.
like this phase where you're like, you've kind of outgrown the friends that you have right now, but you haven't really found like the new group of friends that you want to become or you want to be friends with. And so it's like this lonely chapter. And last year, I kind of went through that when I first moved to Austin. I like was very, very lonely. Like I didn't really go out. I was really focusing on my business. You know, I went through a breakup, so I was like, I wasn't depressed, but I kind of was just like isolating myself, and I needed to go through that because I learned a lot about myself and what I want for my life. And then I found people who I resonate with. Like I said, I have friends who for fun we will go work together. Like for fun we go to the gym. Like that is like I've found my people, but like I did go through a phase where I just was lonely because I didn't want to go do those things. I didn't want to go drink every single weekend. And it's lonely, but you have to be okay with that. You also have to be okay like standing out. People thought it was weird. People thought I was like lame, but like that is okay and I was okay with that. But also, like, I don't think you need to completely drop your friends if you don't want to. If they're good people and they're good friends and they do bring good to you, then I think you should be okay with not drinking. Like, I think it's really, really sad that people feel like they have to drink in order to have a good time. Like, prove to yourself that you don't have to. And I think also people hold on to friends for too long. That, like, are they serving you? Are they bringing any positivity into your life? Or is it just negative vibes? Because there are a lot of people who just are constantly negative. Like I was hanging with a group of friends who all they did was drink every weekend and they just that's all they did, and I didn't really resonate with it, but I felt bad. Like I felt like I needed to hang out with them, and then I realized like, oh, I just don't have to, and we kind of fell off.
Yeah.
But I'm okay with that because I didn't enjoy hanging out with them. I was just doing it because I felt like I had to. You don't have to do that. And so if those
Right.
friends aren't bringing you good and positivity and uplifting you and making you better in some way, whether it's spiritually, mentally, or physically, I don't think they're worth having as a friend.
Yeah, and that's a great way to evaluate it too. It's like, all right, what does this person have that I don't have that I benefit from being with them? You know what I mean? Like, so are they
Yeah.
really a fit, or are they really good with relationships, or are they just a positive person? But everybody should have at least something that you like about them that gives you a reason to want to hang out with them. I like
Yeah.
that. And the lonely chapter thing, that really resonates with me as well, because I had to do the same thing. When you go through a transition, you go through a real lonely chapter, but it's required because you have to be by yourself and you have to be with your thoughts, and you got to find out who you are. And then the cool thing is you start attracting the person that you become into your life, which is awesome. I'm getting so many people around here just, I'm like, how do I get all these cool people in my life? But it's because I'm changing, and then I'm getting those type of people that are becoming attracted to me because of the way I've
Yeah.
changed.
Yeah, and I think you can't expect to have those types of friends if you're not that type of person. And so you need to first become that person. And it does like I learned so much about myself, and it was so necessary, and it was hard. Like it was a really, really hard year, but it was so necessary, and I'm so glad I went through it because now I'm very confident as a person. Like I can be by myself. I can be alone because I'm happy with who I am. And I think a lot of people just aren't happy with themselves. And so they always are doing something, or they're always super busy, or they're always trying to find that next relationship. And I think it's so important to be okay with you alone. And then you can find those people and those true friendships. And that's like when I found my true friends and the people that I want to be around 24/7 because I love who I am and I'm okay being alone. But they're just people that add things to my life.
Yeah, I love it. And yeah, the relationship part too is big because I think a lot of people want this certain relationship. They want this certain guy or this certain girl, but they haven't even presented themselves as a person worthy of that. And I realized I had so much work to do, and I was expecting to have this type of girl. I'm like, man, you weren't ready for that at all. So just putting in the work, and then you feel so much more confident. You know what you want because you know who you are. And when you know who you are, then you know what you want. It makes it so much easier just to go out every night and be like, I don't that person, even though they're good looking, doesn't do it for me. Like I don't that's not what I want in my life, you know what I mean? And
I
I think
love
that's
talking
self-growth
about
therapy.
this, yeah, in relationships because I hear all the time like girls having all of these standards for their boyfriend and they want this, this, and this. And I'm like, girl, you're not even doing anything. You drink every single weekend. Like, how are you expecting that? And so that's what I learned this last year of like, I was wanting this like amazing, like religious Christian man, but I wasn't being that person. And that's not fair. I can't want that type of person if I'm not. And so now that like all I want to do, like I know that God is going to put that man into my life when I'm ready. And so I need to make sure that I am ready. And so I need to be the best spiritually, physically, mentally that I can be so that I am worthy of the man that I want to be. I don't want, like back before I worked on myself, I wouldn't want the type of man who would want that type of person, right? And so I've become the type of person that I feel like I'm worthy of that. And I know like when I am truly ready, God's going to put him in my life.
Yeah, it's inevitable. You do the work, you become the person, you attract the person, and it all works out. Yeah, I love that. And that's the same approach over here. But all right, so I just wanted to touch on business real quick, and then I had a couple last questions. But so you crushed it in business, and you've grown it pretty quick. You've been growing your brand. Like I said, a lot. I think a lot of it comes from just being really authentic. Like your posts aren't super edited like some people's. It's just more you being you. But you decided to start a health and fitness business at a very young age. What brought you to that? Like, where did that come from? How did you find your purpose? And what gave you the confidence to step into that? Because that's a big decision at the age that you decided to start, and be able to build it where you have built it is, I mean, that takes a lot of discipline and hard work.
Thank you. Yeah, so I was in college when I started my business, and I fell in love with weightlifting after I went through my transformation of like losing a ton of weight, being super unhealthy, and then like hired my first coach and started weightlifting. I fell in love with it. And so I got certified as a personal trainer. I worked in person for a while, but I didn't love it. Like it was like you're working really, really hard. Like I was getting up at 4 a.m. every day, and I learned so much, and I'm so glad that I did that. But I knew there was something more out there. And so I literally saw one person, it was pretty new online coaching. I saw one person do it, and I was like, that sounds cool. I'm going to start. And so I started, and I have the best parents in the entire world. They're super, super supportive. My mom was like an entrepreneur, so I have that mindset. And my mom was like, hire a business coach. And I was like, what is that? Like, what are you talking about? And so I eventually hired a business coach and kind of just like grew it from there. And I'm just so grateful that I did like hire a mentorship like early on, because it helped me so much just learn like the business side of things. And I think the biggest thing that's helped me be successful, and that I've had a few people tell me, is that like I'm not afraid to take action. I think the most successful people work really, really fast. I think a lot of people, like, you do need to plan things out and you need to be strategic about it, but like a lot of people think and wait till it's perfect. Like I just take messy action, sometimes to a fault. Sometimes I do need to plan a little bit more, but like I just work really, really fast, and just like if my mentor tells me to do something, I'm gonna do it that second. Like I just do things right then and there and don't make excuses. Like I'm not a big procrastinator. I hate procrastinating, and I think that's like where my success has come from, that I just take the messy action, and then also that I'm willing to sacrifice things. Like I was a junior in college, and you know, instead of going out and partying, I was working on my business. Like I was super busy, and you know, I made those sacrifices, and that's just something that I had to do to be where I am today. And I'm so grateful that I did do that, because I was able to build it faster because I put in that work and I made those sacrifices. Like it's not easy. Like you can do it, but you have to realize you're gonna have to make sacrifices.
Yeah, failure is the best teacher, and just taking action is the best thing that I've learned as well. But yeah, so you started at a young age, and like you said, you just took action, you sacrificed. So somebody that's listening, I don't want you to think that it's too late, because it's never too late. Because
No.
you grew this very quickly. So it's only been a couple of years. So even if you're 30 years old and you're thinking about starting a new career or starting something new, it only takes a couple of years to like really put in hard work and sacrifice. So it's never too late.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, in anything, in fitness, in business, like 30, 40, that's still so young. You still have so much life to live. And there's also so many more people doing it. And so there's so much more to learn from. And so, like, you're in a great spot too. And so the last thing that you can do is just like, or the worst thing that you can do is just not start, you know? And so, yeah, you're never too old for anything.
Yeah, the best decision I ever made was quitting my W-2 job and like just going for it. Not knowing, like I did the same thing as you. I invested a lot into a business coach, not knowing, and I didn't even have a job at the point, because I was just like, I got to go all in. Like I got to get rid of all the backup plans and just go. And that's the best way to learn. Just throw yourself in the fire, and you're going to learn quickly by having to learn, right? When there's no money coming in and you got to figure it out, you're going to work harder than you would if you're just trying to ease in. I'm not going to tell people to just quit their job and go for it, but if you feel like you're not living your purpose, I mean, I think that's the thing that's going to give you the most anxiety, the most unhappiness. It's going to lead to addictions, is just not living who you know you can be and never knowing that was eating me up for years, and it led to a life that made me unhappy. So I think just like, I love that you started and knew what you wanted. You kind of went through a transformation where like, well, shit, I can help other people do this. I know how good I feel, and let me see what I can do. And now look where you're at. That's amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. And going back to that point, I think the worst thing you can do is like regret not starting something. And so whenever I'm making a decision, I always like to think like, what would I regret more, doing it or not
Yeah.
doing it? And majority of the time, it's like not doing it. And I rather do something and fail and like be like, okay, well I tried it, rather than always thinking about the what if. And I think so many people get caught up in the what ifs, what if I fail, whatever. But like, what if you succeed? What if you completely change your life? Like, I cannot even imagine my life if I didn't start this. I mean, I don't know what I would have done. I didn't have a backup plan. I've never had a real job. Like, I started this in college and I didn't have a backup plan. It was do or die. And so I'm not saying everyone is like that, but if you put the work towards it, like, you truly can do anything. It's so cheesy, but like, we live in a society where you can literally do anything. I make my income by posting stupid videos on Instagram. Like, the video that's made me the most money is me in a bikini dancing. Like, you can literally do anything.
No, I love it. I love that you just went for it. Like, you're passionate, you're inspirational. It's amazing. And yeah, you're crushing it. And the one thing I do want to say though is, if, like you mentioned, the things that you're going to regret, right? But don't beat yourself up for your past, because I used to do that. I used to be like, you know how many years I wasted drinking, how much money I wasted, like all the things I could have been doing with my life. But at the same time, I was like, I had to go through this process for a reason. Like, if I didn't go through all these wounds and have to deal with all this shit, who knows where I'd be now? I wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing now. So don't beat yourself up for your past, because if you live in the past and continue to beat yourself up, I realize there's no way forward. So either way, just do, like you said, live in the present. What are the things that I'm going to regret least? All right, go do that. Take quick action, and then you're going to find yourself finding success and finding your passion. I love that.
Yeah.
All right, I just have two more questions.
Okay.
All right, so you're crushing it now. I think you got like 3 coaches under you. You're impacting hundreds of girls' lives. What is like Maddie's goal 5 years from now? Like, what do you want to accomplish? What's your big mission?
Yeah, I hate this question because it's so hard for me to answer, honestly. But I truly am so passionate about like the business now. I think it's so fun, like building a team and having a team to help as many women as we can, and like seeing the women's lives that we've literally changed. And not only that, but like their kids' lives. Like, a lot of the women that we work with are starting to have kids or wanting to have kids, and like being able to like teach them those healthy habits, I think, is amazing. And so I want to impact so many generations. And so in doing that, just serving as many women as we can, building the business is so fun because it's so hard and so challenging. And so at the end of the day, I am on this earth to be a mother and to have a family. And so I want to build a business to where I can be a mom and I can be a fully present mom while still having this. And so kind of stepping out of that role. And so building a business that can kind of sustain itself, and I can be a fully present mom. So that's like my end goal.
Big goals, I like that. Yeah, the trickle effect of what you're doing is crazy though. Like, just like even seeing some of my clients where they're teaching their coworkers this stuff, because you teach somebody and then they got a skill set that they can bring on, and not only just using their own life, but everyone else in their life. Like, the kids of the clients that you have are benefiting as well. So the impact is like bigger than you think, which is awesome.
Yeah, I mean, we work with so many women where they have a terrible relationship with food and their bodies because their moms did. And they said the last thing that they want is for their kids to go through that. And so being able to like change their lives so that they can teach their daughters like a healthy relationship with food and their body, I think is so amazing. Like, I grew up with a mom who had such a healthy relationship with food and taught us healthy habits, and that was so valuable for me. And so being able to like teach women to do that so they can teach their future daughters and not have like, you know, there's so many women that have a terrible relationship with food because of their moms. And so changing that generational impact is so cool.
Yeah, that's amazing. And then very last question here. So if I'm listening today and I want to make a change in my life, and I just want to change like everything, like my mindset, I want to shift the way that I look, my energy, what are the two most important things that you would recommend to start today to just start to make a change in your life?
Hire me. I'm just kidding. I mean, the first thing I would say, like going back to my point, just like take messy action. Like, start on a Tuesday. Like, stop waiting until Monday or the new year to start. Like, start now. But some like actual tangible things to do is move your body. Get 10,000 steps every day and eat protein. And then, like, if I can say three things, it would be go to the gym. Like, genuinely, if you do those three things, like eat your body weight in protein, get 10,000 steps every day, and weight train 3 times a week, your life will literally change mentally and physically.
I love that advice. That's great advice. And it was amazing having this conversation with you. I think that's a lot of value you gave from business side to building a brand to being confident to having the health and fitness journey and how that impacts your life. Really appreciate to have you, Madie, and thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. This was awesome.